I did it because I liked it. Hell, I loved it. I'm sitting here, I'm just itching. I'm itching to do it again. And you think, what? You think you're gonna send me to a nut house? Some doctor, they're gonna get me to stop from doing what I want to do? Well, that ain't happening. Not on my watch.
Hello and welcome back to a stark contrast where we discuss the differences and similarities between Marvel Comics and their MCU counterparts. And we are your hosts, Geoffrey
and Dai.
Hello, and welcome back, everybody.
Welcome back, Jeff.
Hello, Dai.
Ooh, boy.
I know.
Time just keeps moving. I feel like we
is.
say this every top of every show. How busy we are.
And like sometimes it's like, okay, it's been cool, it's been chill, and then there's times like now where it's like I don't know. I'm just following the days at this point. Whatever's on my calendar, that's what I have going on.
Let it guide you, man. But yeah, time flies. It's been another 2 weeks, and it feels like I just saw you, to be honest. And yet, Jeff, we still don't have an official Spider-Man brand new day trailer, at least at the time of this recording. Knowing Sony and Marvel, it probably released this week, but at the time of this recording, it is not officially out.
I feel like Marvel is just like, Sony, get your stuff together.
No, honestly.
Like, get it together.
100%. Especially considering, and we briefly talked about this just before we started recording, the trailer has leaked multiple times online, but Sony or Marvel are very quick to get it down. And so the latest iteration dropped on Tuesday. The first version of it was a weird pixelated, like black, bordered
watermarks
with the X, red X.
Red X. I saw that.
Tons of watermarks, which is like fair. But leakers were fighting over who really leaked the trailer, which you couldn't even watch. You could only hear audio. They released a semi-clean version thereafter, but it got immediately pulled too. So I have seen it, quote unquote, seen it. But not for real.
I immediately scrolled because I was like, there's no way a full trailer.
No, it's terrible. It's actually quite terrible.
I was
so
like,
don't
what?
bother. Hopefully by now Marvel has released it. If not, there is big rumors that it will release at the end of June, if not sooner. And so otherwise, the film's marketing is popping off with art, merch, and other reveals, as well as Amazon Prime announcing an early screening for members on July 29th, 2 whole days ahead of the film's premiere date. And so it's by registration, likely by location. And so just search for Brand New Day on Amazon and the link, and then you can shoot your shot to see if you get to attend. I know I did it for myself and young Geoffrey here. We'll see if we get in. But it is right after San Diego Comic-Con and in the midst of more chaos at the end of July, so we'll see. But I did find a great tweet the other day that actually perfectly chronicles what we talked about in our previous episode about the Spider-Man rights. So this is where it stands as it is right now. So between Marvel and Sony owns the film rights, funds the movies, and handles distribution, while Marvel acts as the lead creative producer. To keep the rights, Sony needs to make a new film every 5 years and 9 months.
Wow,
very specific.
That's very specific.
And if they miss the deadline, the rights revert to Marvel immediately.
And Sony doesn't want that.
No, and this explains everything we said. And so that's why The Amazing Spider-Man was rushed after Spider-Man 4 fell apart. And then the toys and merchandise completely belong to Marvel, but Sony still owns the animated Spider-Man rights, while Marvel can use it in animated shows like Marvel Zombies, but it can't be any more than 30 minutes.
Dude, that's so...
That's the choppiest, like...
That's like so fun. It's also like a little petty.
Yeah.
On Sony's end.
100%.
And not petty, but more selfish.
Sure.
Like,
they didn't create
on.
the character. That company did not create the character.
Yeah,
they assisted in his amplification.
And then they just, they're doing right by him now, but they weren't really doing right by him
for a long time.
At least during Garfield's era.
Oh yeah, no. and the fact that Andrew is even remotely anyone's favorite Spider-Man, despite the fact, says a lot about him as an actor. Yeah, because those movies were not refined at all. Yeah. I see people going back to them and being like, oh, Amazing Spider-Man 2 is underrated. And it's like, where were you in 2014?
Yeah.
But
Like,
yeah,
I remember
it's the
like
same
that
thing.
time that everyone was
Yeah.
like, oh man, this is horrible.
Oh,
This
they
is so
hated
bad.
it. Yeah. Why is Electro blue? And it's like, oh, God. And so same story, different situation, but that is exactly why they've cranked out all these terrible villain movies ever since. And again, it's a win and a loss that Spider Noir is doing well.
Yeah.
Because that means if they probably will at this rate create a season 2, it'll be another 5 years and 9 months for them to make more content.
Yeah.
And then if they keep doing it, then it'll never go back to Marvel and it'll never be proper, if you will. But
I mean, that is crazy. 5 years and 9 months.
Yeah.
Without a Spider-Man project.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't have to be Spider-Man, or can it be like an adjacent, like a villain, right?
Yeah, it's the ones that they have licensed to.
Got it.
So
got it,
for
got it,
instance,
got it.
Kingpin is in a weird gray area because of Daredevil, even though he's a Spider-Man villain.
Yeah.
And these characters in particular that are all in this weird gray area. And so unfortunately they're like Felicia Hardy, for instance.
Yeah, they're not gonna.
Yeah,
They're not gonna get rid of that.
Not in this lifetime, no.
No.
But maybe
Sucks,
in
but
2099 or something. But anyway, no different than Spider-Man and the marketing. Doomsday is continuing its long, slow burn of heating up for its December release. And so they had a recent South by Southwest London activation of a Doom coffee shop. Oh my gosh, I'm sure you saw this.
Yeah.
People were like,
I know.
oh my God, they're going to drop the trailer.
Honestly,
oh
that's on the people's fault, man.
No, exactly. They drove that hype machine right off the cliff. And so fans were disappointed, but it was very neat to see Dom Latveria in all of its glory, and it had things on the menu, Easter eggs. Reed was wrong, and a full brew for Doom himself. Pretty cool. But Reddit users actually took the opportunity to look a little deeper into the Latverian script on the coffee bags. People are crazy.
Dude.
Like, this is cool. Like, this is probably something I would have done in my 20s. But man, some of these Redditors cited that the Latverian script features similarities to Old Turkic and Late Futhoric.
My gosh.
I know I botched that, which are essentially runes. However, an eagle-eyed user also noted they are mirrored or upside down, suggesting that Doom is very much of another universe.
Interesting.
Guess we'll find out. So all these rumors that, he's not Prime Doom.
Yeah.
This is more proof in the pudding that RDJ is very much a misdirect.
A different version, yeah.
Yes, and so we'll see, because again, we're seeing more and more of this. We're about at the 6-month point until this film comes out. So yeah, the Russo brothers also showed up for a special screening of Avengers Infinity War with special appearances by Anthony Mackie, Winston Duke, as well as RDJ himself, speaking of, essentially sparing no time before and after Spider-Man Brand New Day drops to promote the film. So yeah, they're just going for it. They're still very much full speed ahead. No, not even a beat. I'm curious what they're going to bring to San Diego. I'm curious what they're going to bring to D23. But again, we'll find out sooner than later. In Marvel Rivals news, Cyclops has officially joined the roster as a duelist. And as anticipated, this was a big one for me.
Yeah.
Voice actor Ray Chase is voicing the X-Man hot off of his other game appearances, as well as X-Men 97. Ray Chase, incredible voice actor, very multi-talented. His range is incredible. I'm so glad he's back for this game. And I'm already scared of him. I'm probably 6 feet under by all the Cyclops players by this point, but I'm definitely going to try and play
him out.
Yeah, I'm very excited. And so before we get into this episode, I also wanted to note, last episode, we reported that our rank on FeedSpot's top Marvel podcast list, we were number 54.
Yes.
Well, dear listeners, it appears that we have also made another list called Million Podcasts, list of Marvel podcasts.
Oh my God.
And out of 100, Geoffrey,
yes,
we are number 3.
What?
Number 3 out of 100 on top
list? Where's this
Marvel podcast.
What?
It's called Million Podcasts. I have no doubt that they're related in some way.
That's
different.
crazy.
They're different seeders, right?
Yeah.
Because we're on RSS. That's where all of our stuff gets sent out into the ether. So while we're 54 on FeedSpot, we are number 3 on Million Podcasts. So thank you to anybody who's listening through that feeder. Really appreciate it. And hell, I'll take top 3 any day. So thank you so much.
That's crazy. What?
Yeah.
How's that? Sure.
Yeah, I will take it. So, all that said, let's dive into this episode's character study.
Yeah.
But first, reminder, we are not experts and we do not claim to be, especially in this character's arena. We're just a couple of nerds nerding out, and in this episode, we're nerding out all about
Frank Castle. Yeah, let me tell you something. Punisher. Let me tell you something, Red.
And so related episodes to this, there are so many. We've actually talked about Frank quite a bit over our 134 episodes up till now. And so prime ones to listen to are Daredevil, Spider-Man, Kingpin. But our most recent is the Punisher One Last Kill review back in episode number 133. So go ahead and check that out. And so when it comes to Frank Castle himself, he was created by Jerry Conway, John Romita Sr., and Ross Andrew. And so his first appearance, believe it or not, Jeff, the Amazing Spider-Man, number 129,
Wow.
which is all the more fitting for Frank's upcoming appearance in the Marvel Universe. And so very quickly, I wanted to note that Jerry Conway actually based The Punisher off of another creator, Don Pendleton's own fictional killer vigilante hero by the name of Mac Bolan, who debuted just a handful of years prior to Frank in 1969. Again, these are very formative years in comic book lore, and so everybody was kind of stealing from each other. You know, we've talked about this about Marvel and DC in particular, like Green Arrow and Hawkeye, Mockingbird and Black Canary. And so a lot of these characters were based off of one another, and the case is no different when it comes to the Punisher. But for his first appearance in Amazing Spider-Man, it is a very classic cover. I'm going to use my thumb to cover up the price here.
No!
But you have seen this. I'm sure you've seen this somewhere.
I'm sure. Yeah.
It's incredibly iconic. It is the Punisher on a yellow background with Spider-Man in his crosshairs.
That's funny.
Very classic. And the cover states, he's different. He's deadly. He's
The Punisher.
the most lethal hired assassin ever.
That's
His
funny.
assignment, kill Spider-Man.
Of course.
And behind the most murderous plot of all times, there lurks the Jackal. Very interesting fella, but it is also his first appearance.
Yeah.
And so the issue title itself is The Punisher Strikes Twice. And do you want to give a guess for the cover price?
What year again? 1977.
1974.
I'm going to go 15.
So close.
It's 12, huh?
Nah.
It's 20?
It's 20.
20.
20 centavos would have gotten you this comic book in 1974.
Okay.
And now, different story. And so just a forewarning that facsimiles of this issue do exist. So be sure, if you're trying to buy it, it is not a facsimile, which is worth literally 10% of the actual comic book.
Of course.
And so on Shortbox, a CGC 9.8 of this 1974 book goes for about $400. Not too bad.
Okay.
Not too bad.
Yeah.
On eBay, a CGC 9.6 signature signed by Stan Lee, however, is going for $30,000.
Okay. Jeez.
Yeah, it's because of Punisher, Jackal, and Stan Lee.
Sure.
It's
Of course.
Stan Lee is
Of course.
the 27K.
Yeah.
And then on the other side of the spectrum, as far as grading is concerned, a CGC 3.0. This is where I'm confused. Someone is being very generous by putting a 9.8 up for $300
Wow.
because a 3.0 is going for $1,750.
Interesting.
Right. So someone's just trying to get rid of a book while the other person's like, I know what this is worth. I'm going to try and get $2,000 for it, even at a 3.0.
3.0.
And then on eBay, a CGC 8.0 starting at $25.
Huh.
It's so confusing. I don't know.
Where's the bar here?
I don't know. It's all over.
Like, what versions do you have?
And especially now, because One Last Kill.
Yeah.
So he's relevant. They're trying to gain the hype, the Charizard hype, if you will.
Sure.
They're like, this book is worth this much because I say so. So it is very interesting. But fair market value, which is the true indicator of how much this book is worth, is around $700 to about $900. That's where you want to look for the sweet spot. Anything more is probably too much, but if you got the money, go for it.
Yeah.
Raw, ungraded, you're looking about $250 high end, and then there are approximately 17,841 of these comics graded on CGC.
Wow.
So that's a lot. It's not rare by any means, but it is incredibly popular, and many people want to preserve it. So, I mean, yeah, this is an interesting question. What was your first exposure to the character?
It has to be the Netflix Daredevil series.
I thought there might have been a shot that you might have seen him in the wild somewhere.
No, I mean, maybe I've heard the name, but
interesting.
But probably like just what's etched in my brain is
Netflix
Daredevil.
Very curious.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, me, it was definitely a video game. Because I remember very vividly in the late 80s, early 90s, there was an arcade cabinet game of The Punisher, and I believe you could play as Nick Fury or Frank. And the opening montage is traumatic because they show his family dying in the park. So you put that quarter in, and there's like pop, and there's the Punisher. So like I think that's how I first met him, if you will. So yeah, that's what I have to look back on. God, trauma from the get-go with Frank Castle. And so speaking of, in my handy dandy mini book, we have Frank G. Castle. Formerly Francis Castiglione, height 6'5", weight 240 pounds. And so his bio reads, the New York City criminal underworld picked a fight they couldn't win when they murdered the family of Marine and highly decorated war hero Frank Castle after Castle's family witnessed a mob hit. Vowing revenge, Frank now wages a one-man war against the mob as the unrelenting and unforgiving Punisher. Episode's done. That is basically everything.
That's who he is.
That's who he is. It's soup to nuts.
He's revenge. He's vengeance.
Yep.
He's
Yeah, that is the Punisher. And so that is a recurring theme in everything that you're about to hear. Not going to get too deep into the weeds because, again, that is very much who he is at his core. But when it comes to Francis Frank G. Castle Castiglione's first appearance, he made his first appearance in the full regale of the Punisher, by the way. Not only in Amazing Spider-Man, but on the cover as well as the first page. So you open this book and bada bing, bada boom, it is Punisher shooting a model of Spider-Man as he's practicing target practice.
Gosh.
Yeah, so right from the get-go, you're immediately introduced to this gun-slinging, skull-wearing
hell yeah, he's like
shooter.
Onesie tights, man.
Very iconic.
That's crazy.
Very iconic look. But Frank is practicing his assault on Spider-Man because the web-slinger is his next target. So at this point in continuity, Frank, even in his first appearance, is established as he is this vigilante who goes around and he has targets that he marks as his next hit because he's going after criminals and the underworld.
Yeah.
Like I said, we're going to see a lot of these key phrases and buzzwords floating around with Frank. And so the day proceeds as any Spider-Man comic would in this era. And Peter is fresh off the heels of major trauma because this is issues after the death of Gwen Stacy. So Captain Stacy, Gwen Stacy, then Green Goblin, and Peter's really in the thick of it. And then here comes this Punisher guy. As it would be, not only is Spidey's reputation still suffering more than ever at this point, thanks to JJ and the Bugle, he's also been blamed for the death of Norman Osborn on top of it, just to add more fuel to Frank's Spider-Man deserves to die, right? So it is not looking good. Frank has already established Spider-Man is a menace because the newspapers told me so.
Yes.
He's always in the wrong place at the wrong time. And now he killed Norman Osborn. I should kill this guy. Is basically his logic. Is literally his logic. And so
that's crazy.
That's the Bugle, man. The Bugle is like it.
Hey.
Everybody listened to this. And so Pete drops off photos of the Punisher at the Bugle because he's the new talk of the town, right? Because, JJ, he wants to be in front of everything ahead of all the other papers and all the things. And my favorite thing about this panel, Jeff, is that Pete goes, Hey, Robbie. Hello, JJ. Immediately, Parker. Immediately, Parker. And so
it's been a while.
It's been a while. Yeah, right. It's been a while. Just one of the best things about the old comics. And so he then goes on his day as Spider-Man. Little did he realize, however, that Frank had already been tailing him the entire way, and when least expected, uses the same concussion projectile on Spidey that he had been testing in the very beginning of the issue. And so the two fight. Frank even refers to Spidey as a murderer straight to his face. And in the midst of their squabble, Spidey overcomes Frank, and he nearly wins the fight until the Jackal intercepts, worried that the Punisher will spill the beans about his involvement in trying to take down Spider-Man. But the unfolding scene isn't what Frank wanted. He even called their dirty fight an unjust way to kill Spider-Man. So it immediately adds more to the character. Like, oh, he has a conscience. Mm-hmm. He's not just blindly like, he has to die, I should kill him. He's like, oh, no, this isn't the way he should be taken down. This is a dirty way of going about it. That's not who I am.
Yeah.
Later, the Punisher and the Jackal get into it over why they're working together in the first place. And Frank's reasoning was pretty cut and dry. He quite literally says he wants the complete destruction of the crime world of New York and nothing more. Mm-hmm. That's his goal. He doesn't have ulterior motives. He doesn't want to gain power or money. He just wants to get rid of crime. And for some reason, he decides, oh, maybe me working with this dude in a Jackal costume will be good.
Oh my God.
No, he looks like a goblin, but not Green Goblin.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's and he's quite literally a man in a suit. But unfortunate for Frank, his hasty fleeing with the Jackal during the fight with Spider-Man resulted in stuff left behind, which is sloppy. It's not something Frank Castle would do, is leave evidence. Well, I don't know. DNA is everywhere.
Yeah.
But he left enough evidence that Spidey was able to do recon, and it led him to a place called Rice Armorers. Mm-hmm. And now, unfortunate for Spidey, Frank followed him to the shop, calculating that Spidey would go there, and Rice himself had already been freshly murdered with suspicious claw marks along his slit neck. And naturally, mm-hmm. Wrong place, wrong time for Spidey. Frank immediately says, "You killed him."
Just straight gaslighting.
Yeah, you murdered somebody else. Yeah, it's so like immediately.
Oh, that's crazy.
It is just not a great time for Spider-Man. And so another fight ensues. And by now, Spidey's learned not to play. He essentially knocks Frank out with a move straight out of Rivals. You know that when he does the
oh my God.
Web for you, whatever he says.
Okay, yeah.
And so he essentially does that move on Frank, realizing like, if I don't plummet this guy and pound him into the floor, I'm going to get killed. So he does the and slams him to the ground. And so the two talk it over. Mm-hmm. It gives him a minute to actually compose himself and be like, listen, I'm not the guy the papers are telling you I am. And they realize that Jackal is the one who hatched up the plan to play them both. And he attempted to not only kill Spidey, but incriminate Frank in the process. So he was setting Frank up for a downfall. And so they part ways, though Frank's disposition isn't exactly a happy one at the end of the issue. Because again, you have to remember, he was sort of introduced as like the villain of the day. So he's supposed to be the bad guy. So, you know, Spider's like, oh, it was great working with you, kind of. And then Punisher's like, yeah, whatever, kid. And he just kind of takes off. But that's what ultimately feeds into the mystique that becomes his character over decades and decades and decades to follow. And so, notably so, there's no speak of his origin. He is just showing up, again, shows up, cold start, and he's the Punisher. But it wasn't until a year after his first appearance that Frank's origin would be revealed, debuting in the black and white issues of Marvel Preview number 2 in 1975. And this was an oversized magazine-style publication that Marvel tried to crack into. So it's like a magazine size, whereas a comic is more compact, right? Big, beautiful pages, big, beautiful panels, but all in black and white. Frank's origin comes in the form of a flashback sequence when he's being investigated for his spree killings. And it's a story that most know about the Punisher, that we are very familiar with. And so Frank was indeed a decorated veteran of the U.S. Marine Corps, scout sniper in Force Recon, twice promoted in the recognition of his quote-unquote extraordinary combat ability, an ability which won him the Medal of Honor, the Bronze Star, the Silver Star, and the Purple Heart 4 times.
Jeez.
And so these are all incredible awards. And so bronze, for instance, is like heroic achievement. Silver is a symbol of gallantry in the U.S. Army. And then, of course, the Purple Heart, wounded and killed. And so he was wounded in war. And so he was recognized for all these things 4 times in his tenure with the Marine Corps. And so as the panels continue, they say he was about to be awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom when he deserted for reasons which are explained in Appendix 3. To which Appendix 3 in the files note that Frank's wife and 2 children were killed, and that's ultimately what drove him mad. And so this is when readers are fully introduced to the first visual of the castle killings, because you gotta remember, they've redrawn, rewritten, reintroduced this story so many times, but this is the first time you actually see it pan out. And so the happy family of 4 trotted off to enjoy a picnic in the park, but they unfortunately stumble upon a mob hit in progress where they've executed and hung a man upside down and presumably slit his throat.
Jesus.
And so the mob acts immediately and sprays the family in bullets.
Good Lord.
They all go down. Frank is shot in the process as well, but he plays possum. And this is the worst part, because he's like, oh, I think I've been shot, Maria. It's okay. Well, you can get up now. And then Maria, Lisa,
my God.
Frankie, and they're all dead. So this is the exact moment that he not only realizes his family actually died, but he loses it. He officially goes mad. And so that started his ambition of fighting crime through killing. He was like, I gotta cleanse the earth of all the destruction. And so, that's unfortunately what made him snap, and, sadly, rightfully so. Fun fact, it would still be another decade before the Punisher's real name was revealed. So he debuted in 1974. It took them nearly 10 years, if not more than, for them to call him Frank Castle. So he was just called the Punisher. Within this first decade, he even went on trial, and they called him the Punisher. They never called him by his real name.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So imagine, because now it's easy. We see a show, we're immediately introduced to this character, his lore and everything.
Yes.
But imagine being a child in the 1980s, coming to learn this character, and you only know him as the Punisher. And then one day they're like, by the way, his name is Frank Castle. That's crazy to me.
Yeah. That long?
That long.
Wow.
Yeah. So very interesting stuff when it comes to his origin. And so that brings us to the live action version. Frank Castle, the Punisher, portrayed first in 1984 by Dolph Lundgren.
Wow.
Then in 2004 by Thomas Jane. Then in 2007 by Ray Stevenson, until finally landing John Bernthal in 2015, who has portrayed the character in multiple projects since.
Oh, yeah.
So Jeff just watched the Dirty Laundry short with Thomas Jane as a primer, sort of how his Punisher was.
Yeah.
I find him more... What's the word? He's more stoic.
Okay.
And a little more dangerous in Dirty Laundry than he is in the actual movie.
Got it.
I think I like all of them. I've seen all of them. Perhaps not in a very long time.
Yeah.
But I liked all of these movies. And I know you were not familiar so much with the film.
Surprisingly, no. With the 2004 movie, because I was eating movies up back then.
Yeah. But you were in your Spidey era. So maybe it was a little too crazy.
But like it still would have been like a thing. I feel like I don't even remember like seeing marketing of it.
Well, it's funny because the 2004 one, Rebecca Romaine was in it. And she was still Rebecca Romaine Stamos. And this is interesting because it was on the heels of her playing Mystique.
Yeah, pretty much like X-Men 2004, Spider-Man 2 came out.
Yeah.
So it's like...
Maybe you saw it and you just don't recall.
No, I feel like I would have remembered it.
Yeah, no, I think you would have.
I feel like... Because I remember my first rated R movie was V for Vendetta. So if I can remember that, I remember even watching X-Men The Last Stand.
Yeah.
And
so you just didn't see it.
So I'm just
How
like,
interesting.
How did I not? Like, was it not like globally marketed like as much as
it wasn't well received? Let's be honest. I mean, and also this is kind of like, I mean, I'm wildly incorrect here, but this is kind of also where gun violence really started to gain more public eye.
Sure.
So I wouldn't doubt that marketing wasn't as
crazy for a gun blazing revenge story.
Yeah, exactly.
Rated R, blood.
Because think of like black trench coat. I mean, all that stuff was very taboo in that part of time.
It's also a guy who does not care about authority.
Exactly.
Like he does the things that authority won't do or whatever.
Right. Yeah. So it was an interesting time. And yeah, so the Dolph Lundgren one was very straight to the point, while the Thomas Jane one was a little more the first true step of like body horror. And, he met these people, he befriended them, he ended up fighting for them. It's the same thing that happens to Frank Castle in all of these scenarios, is that he's out for vengeance. He's out with a purpose to kill these crime lords and criminals. And then he runs into somebody who softens his heart a little bit, and then he saves them. And so this is basically what happens even in the Ray Stevenson's one, which is, I think, is a little more violent than the other ones, to be honest. But yeah, John Bernthal is by far the most fleshed out version of this character for obvious reasons, because we've seen him so much. And I told Jeff before recording, I watched the entire Punisher seasons back to back over this weekend. And so, of course, we can discuss the various aspects of this character, of course. But we're going to truly stick to Johnny B in particular. So just bear with us, listeners. And just as we've come to know him, in live action, he is also a former Marine lieutenant, plagued with the flashbacks of his former life due to the wealth of drama experienced both in duty and after, which is very true to the veteran story that, we're familiar with in real life. And while attempting to lead some semblance of normality, Frank continues to be haunted by the trauma, despite taking on new personas, new jobs, new names. And that's the funny thing, is that, like, I didn't realize it throughout the entire Punisher series, he sticks to the name Peter Castiglione, which isn't a far cry from his real name, which is Frank Castiglione.
Yeah.
But funny enough, the alias Pete Castiglione it's not to be confused with a 1940s St. Louis Cardinals baseball player by the same name.
Oh.
And so Frank, in the live action series, he adopted the legal name of Pete Castiglione over that series. No real explanation. And so apparently after the events of season 1 of The Punisher, Peter Castiglione was absolved of his criminal record and otherwise wiped clean, which is why he was able to continue into season 2 and do Punisher things. But yeah, in the original series, you spend the entire 2 seasons really following Frank's lust for revenge, and it escalated as he tried to get through his hit list. And the first season definitely focused on it more than the second. The second was kind of, so I won't lie, Jeff, it was a little hard.
It was rough.
It was a bit rough. Like season 1 certainly still hits mostly. It certainly does not hold a candle to Jessica Jones season 1 or Daredevil season 1 whatsoever, but still good. Still pretty strong. Season 2 is where it gets a little squirrely.
It always does.
A little slow, a lot of filler. And it is one of those scenarios where I'm like, oh, you put Deborah Ann Wall here because she saved your ass. She really did carry in the second season. But that's all off the heels of his time in Daredevil. So,
Yeah.
It's where a lot of their relationship actually blossomed.
Okay.
So that hit list, it has been present since the beginning of his MCU tenure, really. And so it started with his own Marine colonel, Ray Schoonover, who was instrumental in the Castle family killings, using them as collateral damage to cover up an illegal operation in Canondar. So when Frank was serving, he and his troop got sent to this locality, and they were essentially torturing, and they murdered this man. Frank murdered this man.
Okay.
And it was all off record. He was clearly against it. They were good men put in a bad situation.
Yeah.
And so Frank really showed signs of, he's going to blow the top off of this entire operation. We have to create a distraction. Henceforth, they killed his family, which is crazy to think about. Because compared to the comic, for instance, they were just a family. He was a Marine man who was home, and they had bad timing, basically. Whereas in the live action series, they're like, you served our country, but gonna have to kill your family, friend. Like, oh my God. It's kind of horrible if you think about it. And so Frank's kill conquest in live action continues throughout not only the series, but Daredevil, as well as Punisher One Last Kill, and most recently with the Nucci's. So it's kind of a rewrite, I guess. How hard do you think that they have retconned this Frank Castle that we see in One Last Kill? Do you think that they like kind of softly erased Punisher season 1 and 2, or it still applies mostly like Daredevil?
For the most part, yeah, but it just feels like they're trying to go a little cleaner. No, I wouldn't say retcon completely, but definitely cleaner slate, a soft reset, because it's like, I get the fans are saying like, wait, why is this happening if this happened in the Netflix Daredevil series, the Punisher series, and it's just kind of like, well, and I feel like because it's part of like Marvel Studios now and Marvel Television, it's like, yes, they will try their best to, but if they have to rely on what has been said in the Netflix series, I just feel like it's kind of it's putting them in a box.
Yeah, I think that's the thing that they were ultimately worried about in keeping people, right?
Yeah.
Is that this exact thing that, fans are now going to think, well, because you're using the same actor, that must mean that all of that is canon.
Is all canon, yes.
Yeah, and so it's very curious what they have kept versus what they haven't. But I agree. I think that for the most part, it is the same story. And they have used more than just Frank in recurring roles like Deborah Ann Wall, as well as Curtis. And so I'm curious to see what they end up changing if they create another series. Like if they will kind of do a Daredevil and move things around a little bit.
I wonder if they do create another. I don't think they do another Punisher series.
Really, not at all.
I think they keep it at Daredevil and
just keep him in there.
They just keep him woven through.
Now, do you think that is out of interest because they think the character thrives better, or because it's safer for that character to be in something successful?
I think it's a little bit both. You know, like, I mean, look, the people said too, like, how many revenge stories can you really tell?
Yeah.
With Punisher,
right?
Like at the end of the day, it's like you go on revenge and then he realizes this isn't who I am, or like there's only so many things he can change about himself,
right?
And there's only so many like ways, like killing, like being a murderer, like a whatever, however he is. There's only so many ways you can do that. So yeah. I just feel like he's better woven in,
better integrated. Because, like I just said, I mean, crime lords, crime world, revenge. Like, how often can you do that before you're like, okay, get it?
Yeah. And I feel like, like, did One Last Kill kind of do that? Sure, yeah. But it's just like that presentation. Like, that's it. It's not like they're dragging this out. Right. For a whole series. Yeah. So I think
which they've hinted at, but I don't know.
I don't think they do. I just feel like it's just better to get woven into a larger picture.
I think if anything, he will get another special presentation. But series, I'm really
and then I guess we'll see like how he is in Spider-Man: Brand New Day.
Exactly.
Because it feels like he has a pretty significant role in there. So
I know it's still tough.
Yeah. I mean, he's in the promos a lot.
Quite a lot.
I mean, in that first trailer, he was in there like twice, 3 times.
What's funny is that he's not in any of the merchandise. Which I thought was really interesting. I'm like, it all has Hulky poo. Okay. But we'll see more of the story continue, obviously, from One Last Kill into Brand New Day. And it will be very interesting. And so it's been a minute, Jeff. You ready for a pop quiz?
Oh, hell no.
So between Netflix and Disney, I don't know, you might get this. You've surprised me many a time. How many episodes of live action television
has the Punisher been
has
in?
Jon Bernthal,
Johnny B,
played Frank?
Oh my God. See?
Johnny B.
See, no, this is going to get me because there were so many seasons of the Netflix original Daredevil.
Sure.
He was sprinkled in here and there. So, but let's do some math. So there were 3 seasons of Netflix Daredevil? 4.
There were 3.
3. So let's just say 20 episodes times 3. That is 60.
Okay. But he wasn't in every episode.
But he wasn't in every episode, which is... But he had a significant, obviously, pull throughout the season.
Red. Let me tell you something, Red. You and me, we're not the same. Cousin.
So, 60 episodes. I wouldn't even say he's in half of them.
Okay.
So that leaves us at around 15 to 20 episodes just for Netflix. And then obviously we have 2 seasons of Punisher. So that is, I'm gonna say 12 to 13. So that's, let's say it's 26. So 26 plus, let's go 26 plus 20, which is 46. See, now there's the Defenders.
No.
He's not in the Defenders. Okay, so he has a series and he has Netflix. And he's not in Born Again season 2.
Nope.
But he's in, I would say he's in 3 episodes in season 1 of Born Again. 2, he's in at least 3. So, with that said, do I want to round up? Do I round down? Do I want to shoot high or do I want to keep it low? You feel me? I feel like I did botch the numbers in how many episodes he was in the Netflix series, but let me go with, dude, my gut is saying like 48 to 50.
Oh my God.
It's more?
Jeff, you're so fucking close. I'm not even going to censor that. You're
How close?
I am
I'll say I'll go a hard 48. That's where I'm
just double checking because because I know this is because it's AI overview and I know it's wrong. I know for a fact it's wrong and I'm pretty certain.
Yeah, I don't trust AI overviews.
I've just confirmed it is incorrect. But however, brother, you're so close. So I will correct that the Netflix series were 13 episodes each. All of them were, even Daredevil. It may feel longer. They were 13.
Really?
Yes, I promise.
I swear it was 20.
No, maybe one season, but it was 13 for
maybe
each one.
Maybe season 1 was like 20 because I remember because Daredevil always pops up like as a recommendation. They're like episode like whatever.
Yeah, no, it's 13 episodes. So in Daredevil alone, Netflix version, he portrayed Frank 12 times. And then
Pain.
You add the Punisher series, which was 2 seasons at 13, 26 episodes.
Okay, well that helped me.
Yeah, and so that is 38. And then while AI stated that he was in 8 episodes of Born Again, it is actually 2.
So it goes to 40.
So it's 40 exactly. Oh. Yeah, which is very interesting. And then you add one last kill in Spider-Man, then it would be 42. But he's been in a solid 40 pieces of content.
Damn, at least I was in that deck in that same.
No, when you said 46, I was like, oh my God. Like, inside, I was like, holy crap.
Damn, it was 13. It was 13 episodes. If I had got that, I probably would have gotten closer.
So I was like, no, well done though. I mean, very, very close, which is crazy. But yeah, 40 episodes of playing this character just for Johnny B. So the Punisher has a long-standing presence in live action, all things aside. And so speaking of, on our doc, you will see the aesthetic of the Punisher has not changed whatsoever in his, 30-something, 40-something years.
The moment they change that skull is...
Oh, yeah. and that's the thing, right? That's the only thing that they do change. And they don't even change it, really. It's just stylized different. And so from Dolph Lundgren to Tom Jane to Ray Stevenson to Johnny B., Frank's look has always been simple in its own way. There's no doubt that it's hard to mess up Punisher's look between the comics and live action. And his trademark look essentially is him bathed in black with the iconic skull present on his chest or a vest or something. And then each actor represents an era of the Punisher lore. And so if you were to look online, there are many collages of these actors. And it is interesting that, Dolph Lundgren was very classic Frank Castle, and Tom Jane was kind of more of a 90s sort of skewing Punisher. And then Ray Stevenson was certainly the 2000s, turn of the century. And then Johnny B is kind of all over the board, but certainly modern era look.
Yeah.
And so when it comes to the costumes themselves, Lorraine Calvert served as lead costume designer for the greater portion of the Punisher series back in 2017, with assistance from Megan Correa Raymond, while Emily Gunsher served for lead costume design for Punisher One Last Kill, marking her second Marvel Studios project in addition to her work on Daredevil Born Again seasons 1 and 2. And so powers and paraphernalia.
Oh, yeah.
Jeff, another good one for you.
Finally.
Completely normal human being.
Yes.
So
been waiting for this.
Yeah, totally normal. And so Frank is infamous for what's regarded as his maximum human conditioning, having forged it through rigorous training, exercise regimens, and more, stemming from his militant background. Mm-hmm. The conditioning ultimately allowed him to develop heightened levels of endurance and peak performance physiology. He's notorious for having a high pain tolerance. So it is very much like a Hawkeye situation where innate skill and persistent practice and regimen made this man killing machine and also able to endure tons and tons of pain and physical abuse, if you will. And so beyond that, Frank is traditionally a normal human being, very skilled one, a notable master martial artist and weapons master with training in multiple disciplines, with expertise in the full suite of traditional tactical skill sets, including, but hardly limited to, extensive special ops training, interrogation, and tactician skills, labeling him a master assassin. So it's all stuff he learned in service, and also just brutally killing people.
Yeah.
And the same goes for his live-action counterparts, all of whom have displayed the same attributes since Dolph Lundgren's days. And so Frank in live-action is a master combatant due to his Marine Corpsman background, lethal in hand-to-hand combat, and a student of multiple disciplines, including Krav Maga, boxing, Muay Thai, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Judo, Karate, and Taekwondo. He's also a special weapons master with emphasis on knife and staff mastery, and shock to no one, he's a master marksman, tactician, and assassin. And so Bernthal, Johnny B himself, has chimed in on the idea of Frank having some special ability or superpowers, and he was quoted saying, "If I got one thing from the comics, I think as far as superpowers, his superpower is rage. His superpower is that he is not going to quit, and he is going to go forward no matter what. And that's as human and granted a quality as I think as this sort of genre could have." So, which is super accurate, and I think it fits. It's his perseverance, which is really the concept of Frank Castle. And so I know it is incredibly quick, but I have a multiple choice pop quiz for you here.
Oh, God. No!
So in the comic books, Frank's death toll had previously been recorded by a Marvel editor.
My God.
From his debut in 1974 through 2011.
Oh my God.
How many deaths?
What are we doing? What are we doing?
And we're bringing the fun back.
Does the sun rise?
A fork found in kitchen?
Yeah.
How many deaths do you think the Punisher was responsible for in these 40 some odd years? Is it 303?
That feels low.
1,205.
Okay.
48,502.
Whoa.
192,568. Or over 200,000. This is 1974 to 2011.
That's crazy. Whatever that first choice was?
Yeah.
No.
Fair.
No.
Right. That is
Definitely
correct.
not.
So that leaves 1,205, 48,000.
Dude, what is that jump? 1,200 to 48,000?
Being colorful, man. I'm just choosing numbers.
Okay. From 1970s to 2011, how many? No, I gotta do the numbers. How many issues of Frank has there been? How many people per issue is he killing?
Right.
Like, is it like a revenge? Yeah.
And I can tell you approximately how many appearances he has.
Can you tell me that?
Sure.
I would love to know that, and then I'll go from there. Because
to date,
uh-huh,
The Punisher has approximately 1,021 appearances on Earth 616.
1,000 over
21.
1,000 appearances, and that just means that's how many times he's popped up in a comic issue.
Yeah.
So that could mean like he's either popping up
Cameo.
as a cameo or there's a full-on story. Okay.
The fact that the statistic even exists is crazy.
Yeah,
to me.
I still
To
feel
me.
like, but still the jump from 1,200 to 40, because if he's only made just over 1,000 appearances,
Sure. But if he's blasting away,
yeah. But if he's blasted, the 1,200 to 48,000 jump,
yeah.
kills me. But I also feel like over 200,000 is ridiculous. Like that's a ridiculous.
Over 200,000.
Yeah.
Correct.
Like 48,000 feels safe. But I feel like if you tell me that it's 192 or the last two options,
Yeah.
I'm going to be like, you're joking. There's no way.
Is 48 your final?
It's safe, but I don't know if I want to go with it.
Final answer.
You know what? Let's go 192 because I feel like he's just blasted.
Should have stuck with your first answer.
It's 48?
The Punisher has killed, or at least killed, between 1974 and 2011, 48,502 people.
I mean,
But as of now, could be 192. Like, no joke.
that's insane.
48,000 kills.
How are you keeping track of it?
I don't know how they did that. That's the thing that I'm like, what? And it was a Marvel editor who clocked it, which is like, what?
How are you?
What was your job?
Are you going through every single appearance issue that he's in?
No, it's very possible that they do.
And it's
that.
like, what
Yeah.
constitutes as a kill? Like, is it like literally someone's dead on
Yeah.
the panel,
He has
or
popped
what?
them
Or what
in
if
the
it's like
eye.
off panel? Like,
Yeah. It's crazy. So 48,000.
whatever, dude. Whatever.
Well, yeah. So that's that pop.
That's still an insane number.
It's still pretty insane either way. Frank Castle's love history is, believe it or not, he does have a hefty list of love interests to his
course he
name.
does.
Most of them were flings, however, while others were barely functional. And so, as it would be, Frank has a penchant for killer vixens that complement him pretty well.
Of course.
A few notables that come to mind are CIA agent Catherine O'Brien, Israeli operative Wild Rose Kugel, assassin Reiko, actress Alice Hoffman, and assassin Suspiria. But none could hold a candle to Old Faithful and Divine, however, Maria Elizabeth Falconio Castle. And so, funny enough, these two met in their youth while Frank was in Pee Wee hockey and won her heart over through poetry. So this is presumed to be in high school, not quite 18, maybe 16, 17 years old. And almost instantly, the two fell in love. And all of this occurred just before Frank enlisted in the Marines. And as he breaks the news to her, Maria in turn tells Frank that she is pregnant. So their teen, yeah.
Gosh.
It's very interesting because, that Frank did not exactly have a normal childhood, shock, but he was kind of a miscreant. He was a bad boy. And so he had been causing and involved in a lot of trouble as a teen. And so this was the last thing he wanted, was to be in this much trouble. And so he thought, oh, let me get away from it and let me join the Marines. But unfortunately, Maria's news made him kind of stabilize. So he still joined, but he decided to be the man he should be and stepped up for the child. And so the two married in a courthouse when Frank returned from boot camp, and by that point, Maria was now 8 months pregnant. And so, mind you, this story was created in recent continuity, and so it was filled in by modern day writers, whereas it's it's not nearly as romanticized as the original storyline, where he was a Marine and he had a wife and 2 children, a white picket fence, sort of, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so they've kind of reimagined their origin in that, they met young lovers, they were kind of met with all these issues, and it changed them. But despite all the differences, the one thing that always remained consistent, no matter what the timeline, was his love for Maria.
Yeah.
And so in recent canon, it was revealed or added that according to the original storyline, when they had that fateful day of the picnic, Maria was actually going to ask for a divorce from Frank due to his declining mental health and his worrisome behavior. I think the story was that he attempted to stop a fight at a neighbor's house because the Nucci's were there. And he wasn't able to save the family. The house exploded, and he came back home, and like he was wearing a ski mask or something, and he buried it in the backyard. And Maria witnesses all this stuff. She observes her husband doing things, and she's like, this isn't good for me or the kids. I need to get out. But unfortunate for all of them, that was the day that she decided to tell him, I think we need to get a divorce, was the day that they got shot up.
Oh my God.
So he never knew that was going to happen.
That's crazy.
And so that's an addition that they've added much after the original story.
Yes.
The original story, they were happy, they were great. But like they depicted in the series, when Karen comes into Frank's delusions in One Last Kill, and Maria is depicted more mean.
Yeah.
Right? I think that's kind of where they're sourcing it from. Like, oh, it was not perfect. He's romanticizing it in his memory. And so I feel like it calls back to the comic in that way. And so Maria and the kids have since been resurrected at least once in continuity. And let's just say something should go untouched. And so Maria Castle in live action was first portrayed by Samantha Mathis in the Thomas Jane 2004 film, later portrayed by Kelly Barrett since the 2017 Punisher series. And then the children were portrayed by Aidan Pierce Brennan as Frank Castle Jr., Nicolette Perini as Lisa Castle, and then in One Last Kill, I didn't know this, Eduardo Campriano was Frank Castle Jr., and John's own daughter,
yes,
Addie Barenthal,
yes,
played Lisa. I think I saw the premiere pictures, like, oh, he brought his daughter. Cool.
Yeah.
Didn't realize it's her in the series.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I thought that was neat. And so, as depicted many a time in live action, Maria holds the same story and fate as her canonical counterpart, various versions depicting the same unfortunate and gruesome fate. I remember the Punisher Season 1 series. They keep showing this recurring scene where Frank is woken up by Maria, and then she gets shot in the head, like right in front of his face. And I was like, and they show it like 4 times. And it's almost the same shot each time, no pun intended. And I was like, oh, this is why I remember it being like
violent,
hyper violent. I was like, Jesus. And so, like we just mentioned, his memory, it is interesting that now with this sort of refresh in One Last Kill, they're tackling the idea that he did not have the idyllic family. It was very imperfect, and his wife, she could have been abusive in some way back to him. It's an interesting take, certainly a departure from what they did in Netflix, where she was the perfect wife, perfect life. And although, and so that's essentially Maria in live action. That's the only role she's ever served. They've never gone backwards and showed you more. They've never had to. But although she does not have a comic book counterpart, the MCU did introduce a character named Beth Quinn in season 2 of the Punisher series. Essentially a possible amalgamation of a few love interests from the source material, which is something they do all the time at this rate. And in live action, she was planted to further evolve Frank's character in a way, showing that he could move on from Maria and the children in some ways, only to inevitably relapse back into darkness. So Punisher Season 2 is especially interesting because, again, Karen is present. And at one point, she tells him, like, you can't be in love with a dream or something. She says something like, you can't have a relationship with a dream.
Yeah.
Which is the only time they have ever like right in the face said, I want to be with you.
Yeah.
Like they've never talked about a relationship. He's only kissed her on the cheek. I think he kissed her once, but they've never said like, we're going to be romantic, except for that line, which I thought was really interesting. But Beth helped Frank they kind of helped steady the fact that, so Frank does have like flings. He's not above it, and he still takes care of himself, if you will. But Beth wasn't used beyond a few episodes in the series. And so speaking of Karen Page, allow me to blow your mind, Geoffrey. These two, in nearly 25 years of shared lore, have no notable history whatsoever in the comics. They do not overlap. Yeah, no. And so I say 25 years because they existed in the same timeline.
Yeah.
But they were never concurrent to each other where it mattered. So they never intersected in a way. If he was intermingling with Daredevil characters, it was just Daredevil. Yeah. And by the time that Punisher had started to reach a certain peak, Karen died. So she was no longer in the picture.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so they never have this actual crossover that we see in the live action series, which, of course, Karen is portrayed by the lovely Deborah Ann Wall in the MCU since 2015. So she has already surpassed her decade-long tenure as Karen Page. And so there's obviously overwhelming chemistry between these two on screen, which I think is why they play into it so hard.
Of course.
Like, I think they realized, like, oh, damn, like, we didn't intend for Karen and Frank to have this sort of relationship, but Deborah and John are so good on screen together that they're like, we just have to. You gotta lean in.
You gotta ride into it.
Yeah, exactly. And so the writers' rooms love to throw that love triangle in your face whenever they can, as Daredevil Born Again season 1 proved. They love doing it. Even season 2, when she mentions Frank and he's like, so you need Frank, whatever he said.
So what, are you Frank now?
Yeah, exactly. And so, needless to say, during the Punisher series, Karen was still a writer for the New York Bulletin, and she was aiding Frank no differently than she had throughout the majority of her time with him cross-series. So even in Daredevil as well, she was always helping him in some way. And of course, that's the reason why their relationship evolved the way it did. And as we've seen in One Less Kill, she even occupied part of his fractured mind as the realist side of him. Again, pointing out the harsh reality that his family and his life was not perfect in the way that he remembered it. But they have not reunited since, right? Like, since Born Again season 1. And so we'll be curious to see what happens if they cross paths again.
I'm sure they will.
Yeah, and they probably will. Yeah.
Has to.
Whenever Frank comes back. And before we move on to the next section, I just wanted to give an honorable mention to Elektra in the comics, who has played her own part in Frank's frustrations during the duo's time in the Thunderbolts. So they were in the Thunderbolts together. Fun fact, in an alternate future of Punisher 2099, Frank and Elektra have a daughter named Cassandra Castle.
Wow.
Who also happens to go by Cassandra Nachos. So when it comes to family, friends, and affiliations, so we have stacked a number of live action characters in this section. So I'm going to try and compress it as much as humanly possible, especially for those who have not watched the series. But the first one up is David Linus Lieberman, a.k.a. Microchip. And so he's a character notably inspired by Q from the James Bond franchises. And Microchip essentially served as Frank's own guy in the chair. But he had flair, and he supplied him with weapons and tech in addition to his hacking capabilities. And the two met between gaps in Frank's service while he was running a recruitment center. And so Micro had attempted to enlist or something, and he was deemed unfit because he was fat and he has flat feet. So he could not he was useless for service, but he helped Frank in some way. And as Frank's ambition to be a one-man army against crime began to take off, even stretching globally, he looked to Micro for assistance where he could offer it through his aptitude for computers and elite hacking abilities. And their camaraderie over in the comics deteriorated over time because eventually, like many of these guys do, Microchip eventually became an adversary. So it's kind of like a Harry Osborn effect where they were great buds and then, stuff starts to happen. And I think he began to question the legitimacy of Frank's purpose in getting rid of criminals. And it put them at odds, which is somewhat echoed in live action where Dave Lieberman, a.k.a. Micro, not Microchip, Micro, was portrayed by Eben Moss-Backrack in 2017 in season 1 of The Punisher before he became Ben Grimm. And he was introduced in episode 2. And he was notably the first person to clock Frank as living and breathing, because in the whole thing about the story is like, oh, Frank Castle the Punisher died and he, he's no longer around, but these mysterious killings are happening. And David Lieberman was like, no, he's alive. He's walking around. And so quick-witted and savvy, Eben's portrayal of the character intermingled in season 1 of the series. Micro himself, a former national security agent, analyst, who helped Frank throughout the series. And so they kind of had this game of cat and mouse at first before their team up. And Micro himself states in the series, the same people who killed you killed me. So that's kind of what unifies them in the end, that they had to go up against the formidable government to kind of reclaim their lives, so to speak. Mm-hmm. And Micro essentially tied together the storyline that would inevitably fold with Dina Madani, who then protected Micro and his family and helped them reunite, which is something Frank never gets, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. But speaking of Dina Madani, she plays such a prominent part in the series that I was like, I don't think she has a counterpart. And she doesn't. There's no comic book version of this character. They've quite literally crafted this detective and this agent to help bring together the entire series. Mm-hmm. And so Dina Madani was portrayed by Amber Rose Riva in season 1 and 2 of The Punisher. And again, an original character created directly for the show. She was an Iranian-American DHS special agent who served in Afghanistan and returned to New York as a detective, seeking to find the killer of her former partner. There's a lot of vengeance happening.
That's Punisher.
It's literally the Punisher storyline for everybody involved, even in comics and live action. Dina's investigations ensured that her path crossed with Frank Castle eventually because, like I mentioned, he was part of that illegal operation where the man killed was actually Dina's partner. And so it got even more complicated because Dina then began a relationship with Billy Russo, a.k.a. Jigsaw, which spanned over both seasons of the show. And it was pretty much a great subplot in its own right because Billy in the show, who we'll talk about very shortly, was Frank Castle's best friend in service. So it made for a complicated factor in the series. And despite the injuries and chaos endured, Dina served as one of Frank's strongest allies in live action, but she is not somebody who has come back, if she ever will.
Yeah.
Another person we see is a character named Amy Bendix, and so she, in the comics, actually exists. She had a small role across 4 humble appearances in all of Punisher lore, and she was a special needs child whose father was a sheriff in a town called Last Kissed. And so that's it. That's all she is. She appeared once or twice. She was mentioned a couple of times, but she served no other purpose other than saying a few lines to Frank, and that was it. But in the series, she essentially assumes the entire season 2, and she's portrayed by Georgia Wingham. It is not at all the same character.
Yeah.
It is truly a scenario where they paid homage. Oh, let's name a character after somebody who's actually in the comics, but they're nothing alike, and they have no similarities whatsoever other than the fact that it's a young girl. And so in the series, Amy was enlisted to blackmail Senator David Schultz, crossing paths with Frank while on the run, which of course always bodes well for the randos who encountered the Punisher in the wild. And so the two bonded over very bloody episodes. The season was very dicey, and all the while, Billy Russo was in the mix, and so Amy was kind of like this annoying pest that was constantly by Frank's side. And in all honesty, it is a Joel and Ellie situation from the first Last of Us game, because you're just like, get out of here, kid, you're annoying.
Yeah.
But he needs her at the same time. But yeah, she was fine. By the end of the season, they had bonded and eventually parted ways, which is not unusual for anybody that Frank encounters. And then there's Curtis Hoyle. In the comics, Curtis served in the United States Army during the Xian Kong War, where he met Frank under the alias Bill Messina. And the interesting thing about Curtis is that in the comics, his role was short-lived. But the two fought, and Frank ultimately killed him in the process. This is another character they've kind of pulled into the live action, but it's not the same character.
Okay.
And so in live action, Curtis Hoyle is portrayed by Jason R. Moore, and he also made the appearance in One Last Kill. He was one of the
Marine
servicemen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so he was the one that was at the forefront, like reminding Frank, like,
what are you gonna do, soldier?
yes, exactly. And so in live action, Curtis was one of Frank's closest friends who served in the Navy, later leading the vet therapy group, seen largely in the original series. And Curtis played a bigger role in live action in general, often serving as one of the stable pillars in Frank's life. And unfortunately, he paid for it in a number of ways. He got his ass handed to him.
Really?
Oh my God, like at least twice, like almost to the point of death type of deal. So it was interesting for him to be featured in One Less Kill at all. They could have not pulled him in and made it some random person.
Yeah.
But the fact that they brought in that same actor is like, okay, so they are keeping that aspect of Frank in live action. More breadcrumbing of what they kept from Netflix. And then, of course, that brings us to who other than Matt Murdock, Daredevil himself. And when it comes to the world of vigilantes, they all tend to keep to one another and keep each other in line, or at least try to. And so Daredevil was the vigilante going after the other vigilante early on alongside Spider-Man. So the two of them were like, there's this guy running around with a skull on his chest. We got to stop him. Let's stop him together.
Yeah, who is that? We should.
Yeah. And so Frank's methods and targets put him on the unfavorable side because, again, it's like, how do you establish the guy who's killing bad guys? Like, is he a good guy or is he also a bad guy? Because he's killing people. That definitely put him on both their radars. This is a recurring case throughout decades of continuity that they're like, Frank, what you're doing is bad. Stop, sit,
killing.
And then he still does it. And then they're like, he's like, no, can't stop him.
He's a cat.
He's a cat.
He's a cat.
He's a cat. He's doing whatever he wants. And then he listens and then he like helps and then he goes and does it again. Best description. And so it's a recurring case. But that's not to say that these guys don't team up, and often, especially considering their mutual interests and threats. So thankfully, they all come together more than they're against each other and opposing each other, especially after the 80s, 90s. And so in live action, where Daredevil is portrayed by the one and only Charlie Cox since the dawn of the ages, not much is different from their comic book counterparts. These two butt heads when Castle arrived in Hell's Kitchen in pursuit of the three gangs involved in the shootout that killed his family: the Kitchen, Irish, the Dogs of Hell, and the Mexican Cartel. So I didn't rewatch Daredevil season 2 to really like sharpen my memory about all this, but I do remember parts of it. And yeah, they introduced him very well, I think, and they formulated his story very, very well. And so Frank essentially spent the rest of his time in Daredevil chipping away at his revenge while butting heads with Daredevil himself. And then Matt Murdock, when he took the stand, which is where the iconic, you know what? I liked it.
I killed him and I liked it. Oh my gosh.
Exactly. Which, of course, was part of Frank's strategy to get into prison to confront Kingpin and all the people that had to do with his family's death. So again, it's very consistent with the comic books. An incredible prison scene from what I recall. Again, very bloody, because I just remember his whole face being red at one point.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right? Despite all of that, the two found common ground and are pretty much one of the greater duos in the MCU. So aside Karen, they're great.
Yeah.
But when Karen comes into play, that's when they start to get a little...
Oh, yeah. There's definitely tension.
That heartbeat thing will not leave me. Like the fact that he clocked Karen's heartbeat. Oh, your heart raced.
When I said Frank.
Yes.
Well, what do you mean by that?
Oh my God. Oh my
Noticing.
brother. Exactly.
Noticing.
Oh my God. That's exactly it. But yeah, it will be cool to see them team up again.
Yeah.
Where and when, we do not know just yet. But if the rumor serves true, it could be a brand new day.
Yes.
Which, speaking of, brings us to Peter Parker, Spider-Man. In the comics, they're well described as uneasy allies, as Frank seems to become with a majority of the Marvel superheroes. He's reluctantly cooperative.
Of course.
With everybody.
Of course.
You got to remember, in the comics, there was no holds bar. X-Men, Daredevil, Spider-Man. He's got to commingle with all of these heroes. And then you have Frank Castle.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. There's going to be some pushback there.
Oh, yeah.
But again, Spidey was Frank's first encounter in comic book canon. As we mentioned above, they didn't start on friendly terms. But after they come to understand each other, they accepted one each other's role, so to speak. And so it goes without saying, it's the same thing as with Daredevil. Frank, don't do that. Dang it. Dang it, Frank.
Sorry.
And he's doing something good, but in a bad way. And then they just try to kind of course correct each other. But they all coexist. And finally, for the first time ever, we finally get to see it on screen. So we'll see what Brand New Day brings us.
I didn't realize, I think like, especially like now, but before like seeing Punisher on the Daredevil series, I didn't know how, well, he's a Spider-Man villain.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Yeah, like quote unquote villain.
Sure.
Yeah.
I didn't know he was that tied to Spidey. So whenever we do talk about him, I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But then now I'm like, oh, no, this is a Spidey. So this is like a big deal. Him being in Brand New Day.
That's why it was genuinely so surprising. Because for those of you who know, his first appearance is in Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So when that news dropped, people immediately fled to this first appearance. And then when Cretton said, we're going to recreate comic book panels in this movie. So this is going to happen.
Yeah.
The classic first appearance of Punisher, 100% going to happen. I'm just very curious.
How it's going to go?
How it's going to go. Because I started to think about it before you got here today. And I was like, you know what? I think come on, Frank, or whatever he says, I think that's just for the trailer. I think he calls him the Punisher, or he calls him Punisher or something. I don't think he calls him Frank in the actual film. But I could be completely wrong.
Yeah.
But I think...
I wonder how they just start coagulating together. Like
as two red blood cells fresh from the wound. Yeah.
So I wonder, it's like, is the Spidey notice the Punisher first? And where Spidey's like, hey...
Yeah.
Stop killing. And then and Frank is like, don't tell me what to do, kid.
Yes, no, and that would be true to the comics in a lot of ways.
So I think that's cool. So knowing how quintessential the Punisher is to Spidey, I'm like, I'm realizing, oh, this is a pretty big deal that they're interacting, let alone having more than a couple like scenes together.
Right. Yeah.
And
exactly.
Frank maybe playing a good amount part to Spidey.
Right. And that's exactly why the reaction was so big. Because it's like, oh, it's coming back to like essentially where I don't like saying this, but where it should have started, right?
Sure.
Like he should have technically been introduced as a Spider-Man villain, quote unquote. But I think they took the right route with him by introducing him in Daredevil. Yeah. All the way through till now, because now you can kind of look at him through the lens of, oh, I'm familiar with this guy. I like him. And he's in Spider-Man now. And it kind of helps lighten the situation too. Because if you just drop that dude into Spider-Man in this day and age, it would be pretty jarring. Let's be honest. Like, he's popping people's heads off. You know what I mean? He's literally...
This is a PG-13.
Oh my gosh. I had forgotten in season 1 of Punisher. He straight up decapitated somebody. Yeah. And rolled
he was
the head.
violent.
He was incredibly violent. So it's like, I get where also the feedback of like, you're putting him in a Spider-Man movie, but then it's like, tell me you're LARPing as a comic book reader without telling me.
I mean, it's like, but like, they're like yin and yang.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Essentially.
But the heart of it and the beauty of it being that this is exactly what people want to see. They want to see people like Spider-Man intermingling with a darker street level vigilante.
I mean, it's a PG-13 Frank Castle.
Exactly. Which still feels like Frank Castle from what I've seen.
From what I see, in the trailer, it's like, oh yeah, that's the Punisher.
That's the Punisher, yeah.
Suit yourself.
So it'll be very interesting to see Johnny B on screen with Tom Holland.
Oh yeah.
And even if it's a mere 2 minutes, I don't care. I think I'm gonna be good with it, and I think they'll serve it very well. And we'll see the spirit of the comic books in those few moments, and hopefully it won't be the last. And so when it comes to friends, family, and affiliations in the comics, I also wanted to give an honorable mention to Rachel Cole Alves from Modern Continuity, who is a notable colleague of Frank's from the comics. And so Rachel herself was a former Marine sergeant whose story was a bit similar to Frank's in that her husband and family were killed in a massacre enacted by a group called The Exchange, and Rachel was the sole survivor. So it is the Punisher story inverted on a woman. And so it led Rachel onto a similar path as the Punisher, where she wanted to get revenge, and it ultimately intersected her with the vigilante, and they teamed up. But she had to deal with her own personal battles, and so very interesting character. She is the character that people were initially wondering, like, oh, is this who Sadie Sink is? But it's not.
We still don't know.
I mean, I've judging from the toy leaks. Or the official.
I don't even think I've even.
Oh, I've seen one.
I think I saw one.
Yeah, it was a keychain.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't have a name on it. But.
Oh, I did see a tweet saying of like what color she's radiating.
Yeah. It started a whole discussion.
Yeah.
It started in
I kind of
Jean
hate
Grey.
this. I kind of hate this.
Oh, I hate
day and age
I
of
don't
like
it, yeah.
people wanting to be like we saw this, see this. I'm getting word of that in the screening that, and it's like,
yeah.
holy. Like,
calm down.
In my head, I'm just like, shut up and wait for the movie, bro.
Exactly.
It comes out in a month.
Yeah, I hate toy leaks.
Yeah.
Like, I hate that we have seen what the merchandise already looks like. So to elevate that and then be like, see, I knew she's Jean Grey because her powers are pink. I'm like,
how are you getting that? Like, where are you getting that assumption?
Yes.
Like, set photos, like, or whatever. Like, sometimes you can't get away. That's just regular, you know, like that happens.
Yeah.
But being like trying to like fans trying to discover like the plot and trying to figure out who's who before and doing, and it's just like, for me, I don't know. Call me a boomer. I don't give a fuck. I just think it's just like, dude, just wait until the movie.
The impatience is
just wait.
non-existent. Yeah.
Like wait until
it's crazy.
Like wait until the press starts. Like just enjoy the ride.
Yeah, and you know, not to go off on the rant rail, but like it is a callback to the expectations people set for themselves and then are disappointed by.
That's the thing too. That's like my biggest thing.
Yeah,
where
don't like it.
So, like when people ask me, "Oh, what did you think of it?" Mm-hmm. I say either I don't know. I have to. Something has to be really bad for me to be like, that was horrible.
Yeah.
Like something has to be really bad. But I usually just say like, yeah, I thought it was fine.
Yeah.
Just because I was like, well, I go into the pretty much anything with no expectation.
Yeah. Exactly.
If a creator, director, if they're trying to get the story, the only time where I felt that I was like, oh, this is suffering a lot was Madam Web. But that's because Sony sucks.
Yes, exactly.
Like
truly horrible movie.
Like that is not something that should be put on the creators behind that.
Yeah.
It should be solely put on the studio.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and
I stand by that.
No, for sure. I fully agree. And the case is such with Rachel because she is a redhead in the comic. And so immediately people are like, oh, Sadie Sink. Well, she has red hair.
Yes.
And that was all people were going on.
I know.
And it's like, what?
Okay.
And she could be anybody. And so we still, to your point, do not know for sure as of the recording of this podcast who Sadie Sink plays. And I'm sure people who have seen the film and the screenings that are being tested very well, by the way, know who the character is. And she probably is Jean Grey. But it is interesting that they make these assumptions so quick from the get-go and they formulate, okay, well, she must be Rachel Cole, so that means that we're gonna see like Frank's family die again in the movie, and then that she's gonna come through, and it's like, brother, where are you pulling this from?
Yeah.
Like it is hyper creativity, but you gotta calm down.
Crazy.
Yeah, so it is interesting, but Rachel would be an interesting character to see in live action. I don't think they'll go there because the story is too similar, just based on that alone. But Speaking of mobsters, notable adversaries for the Punisher. The list isn't as long as you would imagine, but we have seen a good chunk of them in live action already. And so we'll only talk about those in particular. And of course, starting with Wilson Fisk, the Kingpin. And so although we covered Kingpin back in episode 106 of the show, we didn't even touch the concept of these two and their beef with one another. But in the comics, the proximity is as you would expect it to be. It's similar to our old pal Daredevil. The actions that the Punisher takes within the city put him in the crosshairs of Kingpin's dealings, and with that interruption comes an arch nemesis. And so it's as simple as that. He's taking out people that happen to be working for Fisk. That makes him Fisk's enemy, and that's what happens in the comics. Super simple. And also, threatening Vanessa Fisk did not help.
Of course.
Because Frank has done that. And so, of course,
It's usually how it goes.
immediately marked for death. And so the same is similar in live action with Wilson Fisk, portrayed by Vincent D'Onofrio as of 2015. And so again, at the base of it, very similar to the comics, with the exception of his appearance in Born Again Season 1, where Fisk kept Frank hostage in the Red Hook prison. And so it's funny because, like, I saw something online that people were upset that we didn't see a proper escape from Frank. But we got resolved for that. He, like, wooed that security guard by, like, yeah, I'm from Jersey too.
Yeah. And yeah.
Why were people? I don't understand why people. Did people just want to see him fight with Swordmaster?
Probably.
Right.
Or like
Swordsman, Sarge the Swordmaster.
or like
Yeah,
or
swordsman.
just have like an escape fight type of thing.
Yeah,
But
interesting. Yeah, because I was thinking about that. I was like, why did people so upset? But he got out. He didn't just disappear, but he disappeared after
he
got
definitely
out.
escaped.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of, chronologically, it's assumed that after Frank got out of the Red Hook prison is exactly the point where he then went to take on the Nucci's, which takes place before One Last Kill. So in the time between Born Again Season 1 and One Last Kill, he killed the Nucci boys.
In between.
Yeah.
Got it.
Off screen. And then it's revisited in One Last Kill, which I think makes sense. And I think that that's a good resolve for where was he? He was off killing a mob family.
Yeah.
Exactly. That brings us to William Rawlins. And in the comics, it's a character that actually stems from the Max universe, Earth 20011, where Rawlins was a corrupt government agent tangled up in international crime in terrorism. And so in live action, William J. Rawlins III, a.k.a. Agent Orange, portrayed by Paul Schultz in Season 1 of Punisher. He was essentially the prime antagonist. He is the bald-headed jackass in the service who made them do the illegal operation and called for Frank's family to be killed.
Got it.
So he played a large part, but he didn't do much other than be an evil jackass. So kind of similar to his role in the comics, to be honest. And then there is somebody who played a much larger role, both in comics and live action, and that is, of course, the one and only Billy Russo, Jigsaw. Jigsaw is Punisher's #1 arch nemesis, and technically the first one introduced in MCU canon. And so Billy Russo in the comics was a prime hitman for the Costa mob, and it's the very mob originally responsible for the Castle family killings in the comics. And so wires inevitably crossed when Billy was then set to kill another hitman who failed to kill Frank. And Frank was able to essentially evade the hit. So he escaped because he's Frank Castle. He came back to then take care of Russo. Are you at least familiar enough with Jigsaw in live action to know what he looks like?
Kind of. Really.
Do you know the actor Ben Barnes? I like to call him British Andrew Garfield because Andrew Garfield is also
if
British.
I saw his face, probably, yeah.
Do you remember Narnia?
Oh my God, yeah.
He was Prince Caspian in the second movie.
Here, I
Ben
see.
He's a handsome boy.
I see.
He's a handsome
All
boy.
right.
Dorian Gray,
Yes.
great movie. So he portrayed Billy Russo in live action.
Got it.
In Season 1 and 2 of Punisher. But even in his Jigsaw state, and I complained about this when the series came out, they thought a few scars on his face was going to do it. Like, oh, it's Jigsaw. But he's literally got like 6 scars on his face.
Oh my God.
And it's like, a man that handsome to put only 6 scars on his face isn't gonna disfigure him. You know what I mean? Like, we need to see some actual stuff, especially if you're gonna call him Jigsaw.
Yeah.
Because in the comics, Jeff, this is what Jigsaw looks like.
Oh, that is
Yes.
disfigured.
Yeah, and so when Frank came back to take care of Russo for going after him, he threw him through a glass pane vase first. And so that's what resulted in this marred structure. And so in the aftermath, surgeons attempted to save Billy the Beaut, which was his nickname for the record, because he was so beautiful. Wait, I have a picture of him. Hold on. This is Billy the Beaut. He looks like a gigolo.
Yeah, it looks like a
Yeah.
Rico Suave
Right.
type Magnum PI.
Right. And so this is Frank throwing him through the glass. Face first.
And that's how.
And then that'll do it.
Yeah.
And so the surgeons, they tried to save his face because that's what he was known for. It was his calling card of sorts. And it only left him scarred beyond belief, leaving him to take on the moniker Jigsaw because his face was stitched together like puzzle pieces. Nasty. And so it's likely his mob affiliations and general penchant for underworld crime is what keeps him as Frank's number one adversary. And he's fueled by the reminder, right? You got to remember, like, this man was all about vanity. And so every time he looks in the mirror, he has renewed hatred for Punisher. So it just essentially keeps him at the top of his list. Like, I'm going to kill Castle. I don't know why, but I'm going to kill him. And it just keeps him, they keep rotating throughout each other's lives because of that. And so in live action, again, Billy Russo is portrayed by Ben Barnes in the original series. A very different story because, again, in the comics, most of these characters are mobsters, crime lords, what have you. But in the live action, they took a very interesting turn, not unlike we saw with Spider Noir. Because, again, remember, Ben was in the service, in the war with Tombstone and Sandman and all that, right? In The Punisher, Billy and Frank were best friends in the Force. So they served together in the field, and they were together during that illegal operative. And so they had an interesting relationship when you watch the series because you can tell they're incredibly close and there's authenticity there, but there's always something about Billy that's a little off where you're like, you're not 100% here. You're like in it for your own reason. And so in live action, a romanticized version of the character, because again, he is depicted as this Billy the Beaut. He's a good-looking man. He's a service boy, but he's not a mobster by any means at the beginning. And he's a smooth-talking vet who served alongside Frank, but ended up being a double-crossing snake who even aided in the death of Castle's family.
Yes.
That's kind of what I mean, that he always had this sort of ulterior motive to him because when you see the whole thing go down overseas and Frank kills that man, you can tell he has immediate remorse and he's regretful that he had to do that, but he followed orders. But it's the other people that got killed in the process because of one man's decision that sets him off. But Russo, on the other hand, is like, we're getting paid.
Yeah.
He doesn't really care. And so he essentially joins the bandwagon of, we need to shut Frank up because he's going to ruin it for all of us. And that's what ultimately led him to betray his own best friend and kill his wife and 2 children, which is crazy to think about, to be perfectly honest. And so after his serving in the military, Russo then came back to the States and he began a company called Anvil, a private military corporation with the purpose of providing military and security services by vets, which ultimately turned into this glorified street gang by season 2. And it was more reason that Billy and Frank squared up against one another by the series finale. And so all the while, like in the comics, they have their ultimate showdown in the season 1 finale. Takes place in the very park at the same carousel that Frank's family got gunned down at.
Of course.
And so by this point, Russo has fully blossomed into a villain. And there are, in the carousel, how they have the mirrors that are near the middle of the carousel.
Yes.
So they're fighting against this thing. They're beating each other up. And there's a knife involved. Frank gets stabbed. And then the glass starts to shatter.
Yeah.
Johnny B literally grabs this man's head, pushes it against the broken glass, and drags it down. It is one of the only, I can tell you, it is literally one of the only times I've reacted.
So it was that violent.
It's so violent. And it's not even the fact that they show like his face getting gritted up or anything. It's just the act of like, you know what he's doing. And so he drags his full face against this glass, which results in the disfigurement. But that entire scenario and getting shot and getting stabbed left Russo in a coma for a while. And so when he came back, he didn't remember everything that went down. He didn't remember Frank the way he remembered him before. All he knew was that Frank hated him.
Got it.
And so he becomes a full-blown villain in season 2, and he doesn't even really know why. He's just corrupt as hell. And so they, with the shared history forgotten, he then dies by Frank's hand at the very end. So he, I mentioned Dina Madani, and they had this relationship. And so Dina kind of comes equipped with her own trauma into season 2 because he used her. He used her for all the wrong reasons. And so she shoots him up in the middle of season 2 or near the end of it. And by the time, he does not get better. It's rare, right? Usually they get stitched up and they're fine, right? No, this dude gets the bullets pulled out of him and he's still dying. And then Frank finds him, and just as Russo's like, I'm not sure why you hate me, but, just please, boom, boom, boom. Frank kills him. Done. That's it. That's how it ended. Which
Maybe
is crazy.
I'll start this.
I know. So
it is only 2 seasons.
Again, freaking violent. So crazy. And so that brings us to another adversary that we'll mention, John Pilgrim. And so while he does not have a comic book counterpart, it's noted from multiple sources that the MCU version could be an amalgamation of multiple characters and groups, which is, again, common for Marvel these days. The suspected amalgamations include Mennonite, the Vigilante Squad, and the Holy, a.k.a. Hector Redondo, with the Mennonite being the most convincing adaptation due to this deeply religious nature and stoicism of the character. And so in live action, John Pilgrim, aka Robert, is portrayed by Josh Stewart in season 2 of The Punisher. And his story is pretty simple. He was a former assassin turned pastor who found religion after being part of an Aryan Brotherhood, aka a white supremacist group. They go deep in Punisher, dude. Like, the realism is kind of frightening.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and so Pilgrim essentially tried to leave the life of killing behind him, but he got caught up because he was in a financial crisis because his wife got cancer, and so he received funding from a rich, wealthy man by the name of Schultz, and it's all of these paths that cross in Punisher season 2. There's so many storylines happening, and this is just one of them. Frank does as Frank does, and he comes into conflict with Pilgrim over multiple scenarios, but inevitably helps him in the end. So it is interesting that there's this consistency of Frank feeling for people, especially if children are involved.
Yeah.
And so Pilgrim's whole thing was that he was trying to get his 2 sons back. And so any way to get to Frank Castle is if you have a young child, especially by the age of 10, that he can then attribute, oh, that reminds me of my son or my daughter. And so despite everything that Pilgrim did, Frank still spared him so he could return to his family, which is interesting. But yeah, season 2 is just so heavy in so many ways. But in a lighter but equally heavy note, there is one more adversary that we're going to talk about today, and that is the Nucci family. And so Ma, Carlo, Bobby, and Eddie Nucci essentially became a passion project of Frank's in the comics. What he wanted to do when it came to this particular family, who had been terrorizing civilians for years at this point, he wanted to take them down as an example to the criminal underworld that, hey, look, I can take them down, I will take all of you down.
Yeah.
And so it resulted in a pretty ruthless turf war between Ma and Frank in particular. Frank having severely underestimating the ruthlessness Ma was capable of, not to mention her connections with the NYPD. And so she, in the comics, helped create this Punisher Task Force,
Wow.
which sounds very familiar.
Wow.
Yes. And so they were attempting to wipe Frank off the map in the comic books. And so unfortunate for her, despite it all, Frank persevered and he took down the Nucci's with Ma's downfall. First, they were fighting in the zoo. She then got nom-nommed on by polar bears, which is how she lost her limbs, right? And he thought, job's done. She survived.
Of course.
Because she's a bad bitch.
Of course. Of course.
And this is after he's already killed her family. So she's like fueled by that rage. And then he's like, you know what? I'm gonna burn her house down with her inside it, and that's what ultimately takes her down.
Of course, she survived that.
I know. Like,
what are we talking about?
First, she gets nom-nommed on in a zoo.
Come on.
And then a fight. Like, this is crazy. Only in a
Just
Punisher
kill me,
comic.
devil.
Only in a comic. Yeah, it's so crazy. So crazy. And so this is why people are like kind of low-key hyped to see a continuation, because they have introduced Ma Nucci into live action now. And so she's the matriarch of the family, of course, portrayed by Judith Light in Punisher 1 Last Kill. And so her full name, Ma Nucci's, that is Isabella Carmela Magdalena Nucci.
Sure. Oh my God.
And so Ma Nucci is the only surviving member. And so if you watched One Last Kill, quite similarly to the comics, Ma has been depicted as this vengeful matriarch in the MCU. And she's left disabled, presumably after the events of her son's murders, which fuels her fire against Frank. And as we've seen, this unfurls in the craziest way imaginable, a literal bloodbath, with Ma eventually making her getaway despite how visibly torn Frank was. Like, again, and I think we mentioned this in our One Last Kill review, you literally see the look in Frank's face like, I'm gonna come get you. Mm-hmm. But then again, there's a man and his child in distress, and he makes the decision with the voice of his daughter in his head, like, I need to do the right thing. And this
next time.
It is absolutely the most consistent thing about Punisher, aside the killing. Judith Light, of course, has fueled the fire, saying that isn't the last time you'll be seeing her.
Yeah.
Now, again, whether that's true or where we will see her next, now my bet is that we'll see her in another special presentation of sorts. But yeah, so it is possible that we might actually see the polar bear in the fire.
I mean, yeah, maybe maybe at the top of this, so maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they do a series, a small
series.
limited series, maybe.
Yeah, like who knows, right?
Just to kind of
wrap it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be very interesting, and I just kind of want to see her as a torso.
As a torso.
Yeah, I'm gonna get you.
I mean, she's already in a wheelchair.
And she's already in the wheelchair. Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, I can unfortunately see it so clearly, like Frank just getting straight up cold-hearted, wheeling that woman to the edge of a polar bear cage and dropping her in, and she's yelling like, I'm gonna kill you.
It's like some Harambe stuff.
Yeah, right. I'm
R.I.P.
gonna kill you. And then she comes and gets gnawed, but she survives, and then
by God's
it's
grace.
Like 3 weeks later.
By God's grace, she survives.
She's in the hospital.
She just has nubs.
And then Frank sees her on the TV, and he's like, oh my God, I'm gonna get her. And then all they do is show him putting gasoline on the outside of her house and lights it on fire, and it's like, end of Punisher again. That's it. It's that simple.
It's so funny,
right? It's interesting because, again, the recipe doesn't change.
Yeah.
If we've learned nothing more in these last hour or 2 hours that we've been talking, the recipe with the Punisher does not change.
It's vengeance always.
It is always vengeance with a capital V, and it just changes. The people change, but the overall descriptive is the same. It is revenge. It is vengeance for family, for love, over crime and power and punishment. And so, finally, other versions and in other media. I only wanted to talk very briefly about a few of these things, which in video games, first and foremost, Punisher has gained tremendous prominence thanks to, you guessed it, Marvel Rivals, where he's voiced by actor Bill Millsap in the English dub. Frank is a notable duelist in the game, perhaps one of the most lethal because he's got his guns.
Of course.
His origin is not unlike the character we've talked about throughout this episode. When it comes to animation, the Punisher has also made nearly 10 appearances in various animated media and cartoons, voiced by Brian Bloom, John Beck, Roger Craig Smith, his live-action counterpart Ray Stevenson, and even Norman Reedus. And as for other media, in 2021, like we mentioned up top, and I made Geoffrey watch, and director Adis Shankar and Phil Janot produced a bootleg film called The Punisher Dirty Laundry, starring Thomas Jane himself, reprising his role as Frank Castle long after his 2004 debut. That's the interesting part, that he was like, yeah, sure, I'll come back and do this short film with you for nothing. And funny enough, the short film was screened first at San Diego Comic-Con 2012 and was considered a love letter to the Punisher fans. I was at that panel.
Wow.
I was at that panel. I watched it there. Watched the Venom one there. And after the panel, met Ryan Quanten at some True Blood signing. And I was like, I loved you as Venom in the bootleg movie. Yeah, it was really cool. That's rare
sick.
time. Yeah, super cool. So yeah, it's a kind of an actually weird part of my history. I was like, oh yeah, I was there for the bootleg films. And so when it comes to Almost Was and Frank Castle, I could not find a damn thing. Couldn't find anything. And the debate of who is the best Frank alone is a heated debate. You mentioned this earlier, and how people are like going back to like Tom Jane for some interesting reason, because I mentioned very clearly, like, I remember like people were not loving it. They were like, oh, Dolph Lundgren was better. And then Ray Stevenson came out, and then everyone was like, Ray Stevenson is the best. And that movie got no support.
It's all
you know
all nostalgia bias at some point, you know.
Nostalgia bias before social media, no less. So it's so much worse now. But like the Andrew Garfield effect, people are now revisiting 2004 Punisher and realizing, oh, it actually wasn't that bad. And I agree. I think they're all great. Nevertheless, fan chatter prior to Johnny B's casting showed that Hugh Jackman may have been interested and or was tapped to portray Frank.
Wow.
But both prior commitments and maybe even his casting was Wolverine got in the way. So
I mean, I get it.
that would be a crazy thought too, because if Rebecca Romijn off of X-Men 1
That's right.
jumped into Punisher and they were like, hey Hugh,
would you
want to?
Yeah.
That would have been wild.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing here? That's crazy. Yeah. So thankfully he did not get chosen, because I can't see it. Cannot see it.
Crazy.
So the future of the character in the MCU. We've seen that Frank is back on his game after the events of One Last Kill, and we'll be seeing him further in action in Brand New Day. But where does he go from there? What is the limit?
I mean, we've kind of touched on it throughout the episode.
Yeah.
We know he's coming back in Brand New Day. The extent of his role yet to be, discovered.
Yep.
I don't know. I'm a hypocrite this whole episode. I said I don't think he's going to get another series, but then as we talk about it more, I'm like, okay, well, they kind of set it up to a point where maybe he does get like a limited run.
Right.
Like maybe it's like 8 episodes for just one season just to kind of wrap it up. I don't know.
Yeah.
I really don't know.
I really don't know either.
Dude, this is the first time I'm like, wow, I don't know, because this is he's played this character so long
Already.
So it's been
essentially
almost
10 years.
a little over, or 10 years.
Just under, yeah.
Just under 10.
Yeah.
So it's like, and I think why this is different is because there's been he's like you said, he's been in 40 episodes of live television.
Yeah.
Compared to like RDJ, like yes, like he was Iron Man for over 10 years, but it was just movies. It wasn't like
exactly.
You didn't see him you saw him a lot, but you didn't see him as much.
The runtime is extremely different.
Yeah,
it's extremely different because you're talking about 45-minute long episodes where that character, like say in the Punisher series, is in 38 minutes of it.
Yeah.
And that alone is more than RDJ in 2 films.
Yeah.
So it's like a lot.
Yeah, like what? I don't know.
Where's the limit?
Yeah.
Where does it end?
So
and it's difficult to say.
Same thing with with like Charlie Cox. Like they've played this character so long now, so long. So where do you go?
It's literally a third of your lifetime. You think
Crazy.
about it that way. A third of your lifetime, Charlie Cox has been Daredevil.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
is
It's
insane
crazy.
to think about.
Especially
Yeah.
like when they were just churning out episodes on Netflix and every seasons.
Right.
So, genuinely, do not know. Do I think he can get a series? Yes. However, I do not think though he can get his own movie.
Really?
I don't think so.
Yeah,
I
I'm
don't think there's
skeptical.
enough pull for it.
No, I don't. I wouldn't say pull necessarily. I would say there's no urgency.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think he could pull it, but no one's gonna flock to be like
Yes.
Punisher movie.
it might not be. It might not. Yeah, like the studio will be like, I don't know if it'll.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
I don't know. They don't know if it's worth it, like to market and put
But
that much money in.
if you put him in a Midnight Suns movie,
Sure, maybe in like a little collab movie.
with an ensemble
Yeah.
that isn't Daredevil,
Yes.
I think that could work.
I agree.
So, if anything, I would think either special presentation part 2
yeah.
or ensemble film,
Okay.
but not solo film.
Solo film, no.
No, I think that's a risk for them right now.
Or you just put him
Especially.
just have him team up with Spider-Man every time.
More Spider-Man.
Yeah, Sony, get your
More Team
shit
Red.
together,
I
man.
know, dude.
You selfish
Well,
pricks.
And that's the thing.
We're not
is
getting
that-
invited to
I know,
anything,
we're
so
never,
that's fine.
This is exactly why we never get anything. But this is an interesting factor because Daredevil and the Defenders and Punisher are incredible examples of what happens when Marvel reacquires the full rights. With poor Kingpin, unfortunately, still.
I mean, Vincent has said that loudly too. He's like, yeah, these
Let's
guys gotta
go.
get, yeah, like there's a
Yeah.
reason why I can't be in like a movie or whatever.
He's
Yeah,
a Spider-Man villain. But the same is not the same rule for Frank Castle, clearly, because
Yeah.
he's technically an anti-hero, also vigilante hero.
Kingpin can't appear in movies, and Spider-Man can't appear in TV shows.
Exactly.
Like what?
I was like, what the hell are we doing?
Like, come on, man.
here? Money.
I know, so
Money,
stupid,
please.
man.
It's so dumb. Give
And
us
then,
what we
and
want.
then Brand New Day, when Brand New Day comes out, it's gonna get in Sony's head and be like, oh my god, see, we can do it.
Exactly
And it's
right.
gonna be like, bro, come
I can't
on.
imagine what their board meetings
Like your
are
head's so inflated.
Yes, exactly. It's frustrating.
Let Feige just give it to him.
Literally all of my adult life, I've had to deal with this crap. Like
What's the guy's name? Avi
Avi Arad.
Arad. That's.
Yeah. I have a picture with him from the Spider-Verse Into the Spider-Verse Oscar party.
And then when Into the Spider-Verse happened, they're probably like, oh my god, see, like we can't get rid of the Spidey IP.
No, exactly.
We know what to do, and it's like, no, the people who created it know what to do.
Well, this is the thing, right? It's like you want to root for really good content from them, right? You want to because it's Spider-Man. You want to see great Spider-Man stuff. Of
course.
But then you realize with great success comes gross power. I don't know what to call it. But right? Like you're like, oh, it's so great. And then you realize, damn, now they have him for 6 more years again.
I know. Like what a cop out.
It's so dumb.
Like Venom, like sure, Venom had
Again,
success.
I hated those movies. I do not
I
care.
mean,
Like, I watched every single one,
and
but
then
I hated
and then
them.
what? Technically, Morbius.
Yeah,
Technically
as well.
Morbius?
Yeah, which was one of the better ones.
Damn, now you say that. I mean, yeah, technically it is.
It
Like,
is.
I'm not just saying that because of bias like that.
No, like legit. I have the most hot take on that film is that Jared was fantastic in it. It wasn't that bad, and Matt Smith was horrible in it. People think the invert. People are like Matt Smith was the best part of that movie.
Sure.
It was a terrible storyline, and Jared Leto sucked. I'm like, no, he was actually very good in that movie. I think that's the best role he could have possibly gotten.
It was like
in
it was
Marvel.
just people going in with the notion already.
100%, and that's why Skeletor works because they don't know it's him.
Yeah.
And people love Skeletor now. You know, it's crazy what the internet does to people.
Yeah, like I do give Madam Web the benefit of the doubt because
Yeah.
after hearing all the stuff that happened behind the scenes,
Christ.
so I'll give them the
So
benefit
bad.
of the doubt. But then there's
Craven?
Craven.
Yeah. Where they AI generated that poor woman's mouth.
That suffered a lot, and it was also just a story we didn't need.
Right.
Like
right.
you know,
Like nobody was like, we need a Craven movie.
the lion blood dripping into the.
That's what kills me the most is I think back to when they announced all this stuff and Dan Slott was straight up like, what? He got bit by a radioactive lion? And then it was true? And I was like, what are you telling me right now?
Like,
and he's an animal activist.
If it wasn't for that, and if Madam Web was made to how it would be, I would probably put Madam Web over Craven. Yeah. I mean, I still think I do, to just solely because of that image is insane.
Madam Web, almost bottom of the barrel, contending with There Will Be Carnage. There Will Be Carnage was awful.
That was rough.
Really bad. But this is what I do not want for the Punisher. You know what I mean? I don't want them to keep dragging him out.
Yes, sure.
When he has the same premise all the time.
Yeah.
I love Frank Castle.
Yeah. So like maybe this is so John B and the Punisher, this is them getting a proper MCU run. It's not like by Netflix, it's not like up in the air. It's like a proper creative like run within the MCU. And maybe this is it. So possibly. Because I'm sure he knows too, like there's only so many revenge stories you can tell.
And they can't and to that point of the Sony thing, the Sony effect, they can't then decide, well, how do we keep him fresh?
You can't.
And I think
he has 48,000 kills.
Exactly.
How are you?
Well, that's the thing, right? And that's why I'm glad that Marvel has stake in the Spider-Man film that he is going to be in.
His family's dead.
Because at least there, which by the way, that funny thing in Rivals will never leave me. That when like Punisher kills somebody and you have his little accessory, his children cheer for him. Oh, they're there, right?
Yeah.
They're in the corner and they're just like smiling for daddy. And when he gets a successful kill, a camera goes off and they're getting shot. I'm like, oh my God.
This is dark.
It's so dark. But
that's funny.
I think that this is their way of refreshing him is by putting him in the PG-13 film, right? And being like, he can play on all this territory. And
interacting with characters that he's a new characters. Right. So him with Spidey. Yeah, quintessential. Need that.
100%.
So
and just glad that Sony can't then be like, well, we don't want him to be in that. It's like, no, he's not yours anymore.
Yeah.
He is back. He's back home. And so thankfully that's taken care of. But yeah, I think that could be one of the final hurrahs for Frank. I don't think it's the final, but it's close to something. Wrapping his story in a way.
Give us a special presentation of him and Spidey just fighting crime.
I see that would be dope because these are comics that exist. Spider-Man and Punisher, like all this stuff exists.
Yeah.
And so what I would in a perfect world for Johnny B in particular in this example is that we get the Punisher versus and then it's whoever. Spider-Man. But it's not really versus. Yeah. It's a co-op.
Yeah.
Right? It's more fun than saying like Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yeah.
It's like versus makes it compelling. And then like the Punisher versus Bullseye or whatever. You know, like, and just short films. Oh, that would be cool. Like it doesn't have to be a series. Again, it can be a short film that gets a lot done in a little amount of time.
Yeah.
And I would like to see him with other people. I just want to see him in other landscapes. And I don't want 40 more hours of a love triangle with Karen frickin' Page. I'm done. Like, brother. Like, come on.
I know you're dying.
It's just like, especially after all the freaking content I've consumed and seeing it, I'm like, oh yeah, this is a lot. They've done a lot already. They need to move on. Move the hell on.
Yeah, so we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. But very excited to see him in Spider-Man. Cannot wait. I will be seated. Tickets should be going on sale any day now. And so, suggested reading. So difficult because, again, there's a lot of great Punisher stories out there. And so, first off, of course, 1975's Marvel Preview number 2. So, again, this is the black and white magazine standard style of the origin of the Punisher. I think it's a great primer for anybody who wants to look into his origin story and get a really good feel because there's a present day storyline concurrent with that, and you know you get the best of both worlds. 1988's The Punisher War Journal, and so I didn't mention this above, but Punisher has a very redundant thing he does, and he always is like war journal. So he starts out each mission or each goal or each task he has, and he says like Punisher War Journal 82543.
Wow.
And it's always like he's documenting what he's doing. And so they did a number of titles under the War Journal banner. And so the debut of that in particular is very great, and it's undoubtedly a classic series shortly after his solo series in 1986. So jumping from the early stuff onward is great to get to know Frank as a character. 1994 is the Punisher year one, and so this is another telling of the origin story in 4 issues. Really good, especially with the detail of the family killings and the Jigsaw stuff. And then 2000's Welcome Back, Frank, and that's the Nucci family arc. So it's fun, but it's also well written, and this is a kind of like the Punisher that Ray Stevenson was more or less based off of, if you will.
Got it.
And so with all that tremendous information said, that is the end of the show.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my lordy. Thank you for listening, folks. And so next episode, lightening it back up again because we have a new rotation of episode cycling. So we'll be bringing you a mini Marvel in 2 weeks. Hopefully we'll be talking about the Spider-Man trailer.
I swear to God, if nothing new is released, I probably will go crazy.
Brother. I mean, between that, Vision Quest, and X-Men 97.
Like not even a trailer of anything?
Something. Gotta have something.
Like what do we, like?
And so we'll hopefully have something to talk about. And a thank you to all of our Patreon supporters, and a special We Are Groot salute to Melanie, Jenny, Ashley, Sherry, Nats, Katie, Robin, Andrea, Chris, Andrew, Tyler, Joliz, Laura, and Ed. Follow us on social at STRKCNTROST. If you experienced ads during this episode, you can also unlock an ad-free version of the podcast by supporting us on Patreon. And if you like what you hear, review, rate, and subscribe.
Once again, thanks for listening. We will catch y'all in the next one.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.
You're guilty. Excuse me? Yeah. That guilt, that shame, that's my home, Red. And I can see it on you. I can smell it on you. It's all over you.